located from close cities in Trollhättan, Vänersborg and Uddevalla to a new modern campus in the center of Trollhättan. And we are approximately 5 to 7 minutes walk to the train station. And the train station is some hub in the local area here. And we have 2 lines down to Gothenburg. So it's a really nice and easy way to go down to Gothenburg, which has an international airport and so on. The images that you can see on the PowerPoint presentation here is coming from our university, where on the top 2 we have pictures from the outside of the university, and the inside is coming from, the down is from inside the library. If you're looking at Trollhättan, which is the town that I've grown up in, we can see that it's the campus is located really in the center of Trollhättan. Trollhättan has a very beautiful nature, and we have a very large river that's passed through the city. In the city we have also some locks, since we have very big difference between the ocean and the Vänern, which are closely located. The great waterfall and the locks are in walking distance from the center campus. During the summer, Trollhättan is a hub for tourists, and we have lots of tourist attractions, especially Fallen Star, the Falls of the Days, which are down in the end of July, where we have hundreds of thousands of people coming here to look at the waterfalls and the festivals. If you're looking at the university, we can see that we have approximately 15,000 students that are taking courses on different levels, everything from bachelor students to master students, but we also have lots of competence development courses for our industry employees that are in the region. As I said, our campus is located in the center of Trollhättan, but it's really built for the students and the students' focus. So it's a very open and friendly environment, and it is easy to contact the staff. So we have more than 50 group rooms for the students that they can study in. We have the student areas that you can bring your food, and also a dining area that has very recently modernized and updated. So it's plenty of areas for the students to hang around in, both during your studies, in between of your classes, but also afterwards when you are doing the studying and preparation for the next day or for your exams. It's also a very good area for socializing, and the student union are located with the pubs and the festival location in the same area at the university. So we are really sitting together. If we are looking at our programs at the department, we have one international master program in engineering science. It's a bachelor program, and it's running for 3 years. It's a program that starts in January and then ending, of course, in December, 3 years later. So it's a quite typical mechanical engineering program. Then we have a number of master programs, cybersecurity, electrical vehicle and engineering, AI and automation. We will start a new program called welding technology. We have a program in manufacturing technology and robots and automation. If you're looking at the first 2 in the list here, we can see that we are saying that it's a 1-year master program. So it's an extra year that you are studying on here. Then the other 3 programs are even giving by 1 year or a 2 years version. Also this robot automation and electrical mechanical vehicle engineering are taught on part-time. That means that you can work at the same time. We also see that several of these programs are given on distance. That means that you can sit in your home to follow the courses. And we can see that, especially the robot and automation program, where we have students that are signed into the program both from Sweden, and we have students from north part of Sweden, south part of Sweden, but we also have students from Europa that are following this program. So that is our programs that we are running at the moment. We're also giving different type of student and change program that are mixing courses in these fields that we can see here. So it's possible to come here to do an internship and to take some courses at the same time. All of these courses are, of course, as I said, taught in English, and we have a broad international student group that are joining the programs. But we also, of course, have Swedish students that are here. So it's a really good mixture between international student and the local-based student that gives you, as a student, a really nice international environment. If you're looking at connected to these courses and the programs, we're also doing research. And the research that we're doing are connected to the courses, or we can say the opposite. We are doing research, and the courses we are taught are connected to the research. But the research gives you, as a student, a really nice introduction to the areas, because the expertise in the professors and the researcher are coming back to the student in the program. Our main focus area is production technology, and that is one of two main research areas here at university. We are sitting down at this sub-campus, or we can so call it another campus, where we're just doing the research. You as students are coming down there to do your elaborations and to do work and participate in different type of projects and thesis work. But we are sitting down here more than 80 people. It's professors, researchers, lecturers, PhD students, and so on. We are funded by the government, but we are searching quite a lot of different research projects. So at the moment we have around 50 external funded research projects going on in the group. And we are in this research project collaborating with our local companies or national-based companies, or even international companies. That gives you, as a student, a very good environment for you be in contact with our companies. The research we are doing is divided in 5 different themes: thermal spray, welding, machining and metal forming, flexible automation, and additive manufacturing. We started this additive manufacturing for less than 10 years, but it's now our biggest research area, and we are one of the local hubs in Sweden for the development of this process. Our additive manufacturing is closely linked to welding, where we are using welding technology to melt the metals that we are building this type of structure of. If we're looking down at this research environment, we are in a place called PTC, Production Technology Center, which is in a local area in Trollhättan, just 1.5 kilometers from the university. In this area, we have approximately 1,000 to 1,500 employees in 50 to 60 different companies that are working down in this region. And in the area where we are sitting, we have approximately 10 companies working, everything from big companies to the small enterprises. In this area, we have loads of different type of equipment connected to our research. So we have equipment for robot and automation, AI automation, and also things that we need to do different type of evaluation of materials and so on. Since most of the processes that we are investigating are affecting the materials, it's important to have an understanding what is happening. So therefore we have a microscope, optical microscope, we have sweep electron microscopes, etc. to make evaluation of the test samples. We also have material equipment to do non-destructive testing and to do cut-ups and so on. And when it comes to robots, we have one of the finest robot labs in Sweden, where we are using lots of industrial robots in our both research and for our students to work with. So if you're looking at this environment here, we can really see that this is a group of students that are down here doing different collaborations in the lab. And the equipment we see here belongs to the university, but the companies are just, and their equipment are just behind the corner. And in this environment, we have research engineers and production people from the different companies passing by, talking to our students and so on. So it's a really nice environment for you students, because you get this industrial contact in a very good way. So I think that will end here. Since I'm not born in Trollhättan, but I grew up here, I can really say that Trollhättan is a very beautiful city, and it's nice and clean, and you have this really close connection between the city and the surroundings and the environment. And especially when you have a falls on, it's really an amazing city to be in. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mikael.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have prepared a couple of questions I feel like our students might be interested in. But if you have any at home that you feel like I forget to ask, or if you want us to develop anything further, please ask the questions in the chat and we'll take them up during this section. So first of all, the Department of Engineering, how would you describe the environment there as a student? Informal, international, what words and how would you use to describe it?
It's a good question. I would say that we have a very international environment. We have lots of international students, so we are very used to talk English. And if you're looking at the diversity of our department, we have maybe 25 different nature that are working in the research group. And in total at the department, we are maybe 130. So, I mean, it's quite a lot of different nationalities that are working in the group. That means that as a teacher and a researcher, we are really used to this international situation. But it also comes back to the student and how the students are feeling, because they can feel as home, because they can speak maybe the mother language to some of the professors, but also that they can see that every nature is welcome. It doesn't matter what type of ethnicity or background you have. I mean, we have people from more or less all different areas of the world in our group. So it's really nice.
So the international students might feel at home a bit at our department.
Maybe not maybe, but a little bit at home. Yes, absolutely. But also in good hands, I would say.
That's great to hear. We usually describe our environment at University West as informal. That we have a low, that we don't make difference between students and teachers, that they can have a casual relationship. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Just look at the campus that we are standing in now. It's built with the student in focus. It is really close between the classroom and the student area and where the professor and his lecturer are sitting. It's no closed doors, so it's very easy to go for a student to find the teacher that they're interesting to talk to. If you're looking down at our research environment, it's even more informal, because there the students are having the lunch in the same area where we are having our lunch. we have the same coffee machines, and we are sitting down in the same sofa as the lecturer or the professors. That means that you can end up sitting to think that you have a very informal discussion with someone, and then it turns out that it's a professor. But we are not so formal, so we are addressing people as with a title. So it's more of a first name. So it's very informal, I should say.
Yeah, it sounds very typical Swedish. We don't have many titles here in Sweden in general. I've spoken to a couple of current students that we have, and many of them mention our learning environment as well for why choosing to study in Sweden. How would you describe the typical classroom and classroom environment between teacher and students?
A classroom is a classroom, of course, but it's in a way very modern classroom. But I mean, it's a modern environment where you have a good possibility to speak to the teacher, and it's a very friendly environment in the classroom. We all are looking into how to make the campus more attractive and to update it to a more modern way to do the teaching. One way is to have more of this type of hybrid teaching. That means that our classroom is updated to Zoom or to people that are sitting on distance. So we have invested in nice screens and everything, but also good microphones, so we can have this dialogue, not just with the student in the room, but also student on the distance.
To make the distance learning more inclusive.
Yeah, but also as we were looking outside today, that we have got half-meter snow, and lots of our students are traveling by bus to the university. And our bus company said that it was too much snow, so they cancelled everything. Then it has been possible for my students that I have in their class this morning to connect to Zoom, and we had a very good interaction. So it doesn't have to be that we're always sitting on distance, but it can be that they are sick or they can't come to university for some reason, and that gives us the opportunity to have a good dialogue.
Yeah. That sounds good. So you mentioned before that we have a couple of programs that are offered both at distance and on location here at campus. Are those lectures the same? Are they during the same time, or are they held separately?
It's a little bit different. The colleagues or the program had decided how we would like to have it. The robot automation program has mainly pre-recorded movies that are the teaching material, and then we are using a flipped classroom methodology that students are looking at the videos, and then we have some seminars and following up on that pre-recorded material. Some other programs, they are running more that it is a live session and you are joined independent on a distance or not. So it's different approaches for this, and also that it's different approaches how you are handling this elaboration. In the robot automation, they are coming to Trollhättan twice the first year. So it's 3 days in mid-October, and then it's 3 days in May. And then we're doing all important physical elaborations. And then we have another program, the advancement of electric mechanical vehicle engineering. They have more regular meetings during a period. So we have a little different approaches on that.
Okay, so it differs a lot.
Yeah.
Our classrooms, how big are classes in general? Is it possible to say a general number?
Generally, for bachelor degrees, we are both reading several classes together. So that can be maybe 60 to 100, 120 students at the same time. But for more advanced courses, I should say, we are approximately 20, 25, 30 students in a class. In some classes, it's a little bit more. In some classes, it's a little bit less. But generally above like 15 and above.
I've heard the classes described as student-driven.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
And
so,
what does it mean?
For me, it's the students are taking the responsibility to to work with the task, but also to working by the task. I mean, they are prepared for elaborations and so on, but they're also using what we have learned and explore what we can learn more. So it's not just that we are sitting and get feed, but they are taking their own responsibility for their own education.
Yeah, having discussions.
Yeah,
yeah.
And also that is, of course, you have a few students that are maybe that in all classes, but I think what we have succeeded or what are happening in Trollhättan is that we get the rest of the students as well. So it's not just 1 or 2 students that are excellent. I mean, they are pushing the rest of the group as well. So it creates a very good student environment.
And that must be a huge benefit when we have smaller classrooms of 20 people. Easier to get everyone involved.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so group works.
Yeah.
I've noticed that it's kind of a Swedish thing to have a lot of group works.
Yeah.
Could you describe a typical group work and what is it? What does it mean?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it means that the student gets, it's like they get some task to solve. And in the beginning, we set up a group of students and give them a task, and they are working on it. The task is quite well defined. It's a solution or something like that. But in the end, there can be a very bad described task that they are working with and finding their own solution, using the experience that they have learned during the education. And if you have students from different backgrounds, as in our master program, that can be that it ends up in very different solutions. So that is, for me, the main difference between Swedish project work and maybe some other universities that have it, because we don't have a solution. We don't know what we are expecting. And some of the students can be really frustrated with that because they think that, is this right? Is this the solution you're looking for? I don't have a clue. I don't know what they're looking at. We have a problem. Solve the problem. So, and the solution can be different.
It feels like it's very interesting to actually grade these group works later.
Yeah. And many of our group works are done within the industry, and they are really happy with the results from the student because they can really get something that they can bring back into the factory or to their plant.
So what does it mean that the industry is what does it mean to have an industry connection in a group work? What does the industry do? What do they come to us with a problem, or? Yeah,
it's they're mainly coming to us with a problem, and we say, we have a student project here. They will look at it. Maybe and they can take 5-10 students or whatever to look at this problem. The industry is coming to the student, talking to them, and have interaction with the students. We have interaction with students. So we are together with the industry coaching the students in a direction that are solving the problem for the industry. So it's not just me as a teacher that are coaching the student. I have an industry backup as well, but gives the student an understanding of things that I don't really can teach them what they need and what this company needs. I can say again what an industry needs, but this specific company, they have internal needs, and that is something that I can't give the students, but it gives, coming from the industry, gives great benefits for the students.
It sounds like it creates a very clear connection between actually learning and putting it into practice.
Yes,
later.
It is. And then we can come back to the solution and work with it and talk about and reflect of it in our courses. So we have a learning cycle for it.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So what we just talked about is a great bridge to work integrated learning, which is our profile here at University West. What does work integrated learning mean for you?
I mean, for me, it works means that we have this interaction with between students and industry, and we are facing industrial problem and working with the need from the industry. But this also means that we have this competence transfer between us as a university to the student and to the industry. And it doesn't mean that it is just transfer of knowledge from me to the student or to the industry, but the industry is transfer knowledge to the student and to me, and the students are transfer knowledge to the industry and also to me. So we have a joint thing here that are updating each other what is happening and so on.
So you mentioned group works being one type of contact with industry for students. Do we have any more examples of industry contacts?
Yeah, we have of course thesis work, which is of course a bigger project, and most of our thesis work are done in joint collaboration with the industry.
So what does that mean for the students?
For the student, it means that can be by doing the thesis work with the first employees, because it's very common that the students are employed at the company afterwards.
Okay.
For the students, it does also mean that we are doing something that are interesting for the company. They have a real problem instead of something that is just invented. So they are facing real problem and real changes or change in this situation.
So it's kind of a proof that what they're learning are relevant and needed.
Yeah, and also that we get specialization in something that can, if they are employed at the first company, they can show that for another companies, saying that I've been at this company and now searching for a job in at your company. Speaking
of industry placements, do all of these programs that you mentioned have the option for internship?
We are working on it to get more and more onto it, but at the moment I think it's around advanced manufacturing that have it, and I think also this international mechanical with bachelor programs has it. But then it's always possible to discuss with the program responsible to see how we can create something together. At the robot and automation program, we have test where you work during summer when you're doing thesis work and a project afterward in the second year. So we have a little bit different combination here how we working with this. But it's important for us to have a possibility for the student to go out to industry and work.
So do you yourself have any company contact on a regular basis in your everyday life here at University West?
Yeah, we have some, quite many that we are collaborating, but for me it's GKN Aerospace, which is one of the biggest aerospace manufacturing in the world. We have 90% of all aero engines that are up and flying. Wow. They have parts from GKN. So that is one of our main company, and they are actually sitting down at the same location as we at PTC.
Okay.
So we have a real good connection to them.
And a big employer here in Trollhättan.
Yes, of course. I think they have around 3,000 employees.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And they are regularly searching for other students, and they are taking, I should not say the best of the best, but that is a good term.
Okay. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like a carrot. I don't know if you say that in English.
Yeah.
But speaking of PTC, is it, do all programs and all students have the possibility of working down at the PTC during their studies?
I can say that all programs has one or more elaborations done there. And then of course we have more programs that are done there more regularly. So if you're looking at this advanced manufacturing, robot and automation and AI automation, they are of course much more done there compared to cybersecurity that have just a few elaborations done there.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for that is that the lab equipment for the students are located at different locations.
Yeah. So at PTC, you mentioned that the students work side by side with industry.
Yeah.
Do they work? It sounds like they work in the same rooms. Do they have that type of everyday contact when they're there?
It is. we have 3 floors down there. We are sitting on the middle floor. We have companies in the first floor, and it's 3rd floor. And then inside that we have a big machine hall. And one of the pictures I showed here, we saw the automation line. That is the entrance to that machine hall. So, and all industrial companies are coming through that doors. And the first thing we see is our students. So it's a very good collaboration, and you to see that. And then we have further in, we have our own equipment. Universities owns equipment, but they are rented or borrowed by other companies. So that means that we have our technicians or engineers working there. They have there. So that means that we also have this collaboration. And when the students are doing the thesis work in that environment, they're also facing the operators from that, or technicians from the other companies as well. So it's really close connection between the students and the companies.
It sounds like a great way for students to get more informal contact with their future employers. I mean, maybe employees in the future, but employers.
It is.
Sounds great. So once again, raise your hand if you want to ask any questions, and we'll add you to answer your questions. And you mentioned that you live here in Trollhättan.
Yes.
How long have you lived here?
I've been living here more or less 40 years.
40 years. It's a long time.
But I've been gone for a couple of years. But it's 1 year for the master and 1 year for my military service. Otherwise, it has been in Trollhättan.
Okay. So what's your what's the best part about Trollhättan?
I think the environment is wonderful. You have both close to the ocean, the sea. You're close to a very big lake. You're close to the forest. The city has ambition goals to be an active city, so it's easy to come here and work. It's also very attractive for young parents and families that are starting. They have an ambitious plan to build new houses, both for like students, but also for people that are working here, and for people in relation and people with a family, and also for people that are old. So they have the whole that. So, but for me, the environment is outstanding.
And you mentioned a couple of companies, and we talked about GKN briefly. We have a couple more international big employers here looking for engineering students, right? It's kind of an engineering city, Trollhättan.
We had previously we had the Saab company, Saab Automobile, here as well, and based on that, they were bought by a Chinese owner, so they're owned by a Chinese company, and now it's called NEVS, and they are working with electric vehicles and also autonomous vehicle. And at Innovatum, where we have the Production Technology Center, we have also several big companies that are interesting or starting business as well.
Mentioning Innovatum, we had an event a couple of weeks ago where students got to meet companies. Were you a part of that? Were you there?
I was not there.
I heard that it was a great success.
I heard it also. It was a great success, but I was unfortunately busy with other things. The idea was that we had an exhibition where we had a number of companies coming and talk to the students to show different type of the need of the competencies, but also about future employees and future projects and thesis work and so on. So it was a good mixture here.
That's nice. Skärmen är svart här. Sladden. And speaking of automobile countries, companies such as NEVS, I would say that the west coast of Sweden is a bigger hub other than Trollhättan. Gothenburg as well has Volvo. For example.
So in Gothenburg we have Volvo cars, but we also Volvo trucks. We have part of Volvo bus. So in that way we have close relation as well. And as I said in the beginning, it's 40 minutes by train down to Gothenburg. So that means that we have really close to big companies, and we are working in close collaboration, both with Volvo Cars and Volvo Trucks. And we have PhD students that are, for example, working at Volvo Trucks as employees.
And for people from bigger cities, 40 minutes is nothing.
No, it's nothing. We are talking about we have traffic jam, and then it takes 5 minutes extra for me to go home. So no, it's completely different.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts about Trollhättan as well. It's one of those 15-minute cities. Everything is within 15 minutes. School, job, where you live, where you shop your groceries. Everything is pretty close.
But then you have 40 minutes down to Gothenburg, which is 1 million town. And then you have international airport at Gothenburg as well. So it's very convenient if you would like to go abroad somewhere.
And the train goes every day, every half an hour, I think. So it's very easy. I think it's even
closer, every 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So it's really, depending on the time, but it's really nice to go by train.
So speaking of Trollhättan, what's your favorite hobby to do when you're not working here in Trollhättan?
Yeah, that's good. I like sports. So for me, triathlon is great. Wow. We have a nice club for that. I started my career as a skier and running orienteering. So trail running is excellent. We have done really good work to get nice paths. A few years ago, we launched area for skiing on artificial snow, but the snow that we are making. So it's possible. Last year, it was possible to go skiing from mid-November to March, I think it was. Very short track, but it was possible. We have, if you like skiing, we are having the Europe's biggest roller ski competition here in end of August, called Alliansloppet, where we have top of the world's best skier participating. But
today you wouldn't need wheels. Today it's very snowy here in Trollhättan.
It's very snowy, but yes, it is. It's great when you're seeing this. It's really amazing to see all these great athletes here.
Many of our current students are from bigger cities, super urban areas, and they usually describe the closeness to nature as one of the best parts of living here. And in Sweden we have something called allemansrätten. It means that everyone can be anywhere. We don't have any gates or gated communities or areas, or nature is available to everyone. So that's one of the great parts if you like sports.
And also that you can go out camping without any problem. So if you fancy that type of activities, it's real nice to just be taking a tent. So when it's some restriction that you can't be too close to a house, but otherwise it's free. So that's real nice.
That's great. Now we have gotten some questions in the chat. As you mentioned about research works and labs, are there any course-based programs too that are not based only on research works and labs? I think that the question is, do we only have laboration-based programs? But they are both.
It's a mix. I mean, all laboration in the courses we have laboration, and they can have project work. Laboration are supporting the learning outcome of the course contents. The project are also supporting the learning outcome, but they can train different things when it comes to use your ability as an engineer or a student. We also training this talking before in front of people. We're doing other
more
activities.
Regular classes as well.
So the standalone laboration is more for support of students.
Speaking of sports, are there any university sports clubs? No, we don't have any formal clubs like that, like we're used to seeing in American movies, for example. But we do have a student committee that organizes smaller sporting events, and where you can form your own clubs. If you like to play football, for example, it's a huge sport here in Sweden. And as we talked about allemansrätten, we also have a lot of fields across the city where you can play soccer and use for sports as you like. But we don't play sports that in that organized way here.
But also saying that for sport clubs at university, I mean, it's the city council is also very supportive for the city for the students. If they would like to rent something like a hall or something like that to play volleyball indoors, they can do that.
Yeah,
so and really supporting the council.
Yeah, and we have where you can go, as you said, to the council and rent equipment if you want to rent skis, for example, since it's snow outside and the lake might be frozen later. So you can rent a lot of sports equipment for free by the city. So, as we said, raise your hand and you will be able to ask your question in the chat if you have any. We are coming near to an end of this webinar. So, you mentioned, I got the vibe that you teach yourself. Is that true? Do you teach classes here at University West?
Yeah, I teach classes.
So, what's the best part about teaching classes?
I mean, it's the student interaction. To meet students, to talk about, in my point, robotics or machine vision, which is my main fields, and to share this with them and to see how they are growing in the area and then finalize it with a thesis work. I also love to have all these international students because you can talk about them and you get the feeling that what they are coming from, what the different backgrounds and how you can interact with them. So the student interaction is the best part.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Do you teach both Swedish and international students?
Yeah, I do that. Mainly international students, but I have Swedish classes as well. But they tend to be mixed with international students that are on the third year on the coming on the, for example, Erasmus exchange programs. So mainly it's English anyway.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and as we said, we have a very international environment, so it's not weird that we speak a lot of English. And as you said in your presentation, we're pretty used to it.
Yeah, it's already been speaking English for like 6 hours this day. So.
Yeah. And I want to mention, speaking of language, you can get Swedish classes if you are interested in learning the language. If you are interested in that, it's a possibility too, but you will get along great with only English. For students who want to study Swedish, are there courses offered by the university? This is not entirely sure yet. We've had it in the before, but this is not decided yet. Our goal is to have it, but we cannot promise it. But you can get Swedish courses from other Swedish organizations offering it for people who just arrived to Sweden. So we have gotten a question also specific to welding technology. Are you able to answer about internship options, or should we?
For welding, it's I think we are very looking into. We have a large community on companies that are working with welding, and in that option, it should be possible to find internship for people that have followed that courses. It's nothing that we can promise, of course, but that is, I should say, the aim.
Yeah, and all of our programs are developed with the needs of industry in the back of our minds and in collaboration with the industry.
In close collaboration, I should say,
Yeah, in close collaboration with these employers. So internship and the need of them shouldn't be any issues.
No, it shouldn't be any issues.
For the Masters in Cybersecurity, apart from the general entry requirements, are there any other requirements for cybersecurity? It's a pretty specific question. Do you know on the top of your head?
No, I don't think so. We have had some requirements before, but I think that has been removed.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but I think it's just the regular one.
So if you feel like you need a more specific answer to that, I will show our email address very soon, so you can send us an email and we'll answer that question specifically. I plan on continuing graduate studies at University West with focus on welding technology. I would like to inquire if I'm eligible to apply for the master's program using my current higher national diploma degree, which is equivalent of a bachelor's degree in Nigeria.
Yeah, I think that should be absolutely possible.
Yeah.
Because we have close collaboration between the enrollment of students and they are validating the different diploma.
Yeah.
Because it's not always that you have a bachelor degree, you can have some other degrees, and then we have had the national system for validation of it.
Okay, so it should be possible, but once again, if you want a more specific answer, you can always send us an email and we'll take some time and look at it. So now you have your last chance to ask your questions. So I will end with one last question for you if we don't get any more. So what recommendations would you have for in short terms, why should a student come to Sweden in general to study when they have the whole world to choose from?
I think you're coming to Sweden for a number of reasons. We have a very good quality of our education. Second, it's a very good and safe environment. So it's very safe for people to be here. And the third one is the environment. It's very green. We are not so many. We are around 10 million in complete Sweden. And it's a small city and so on. So it's a very nice, friendly environment. So I think that is why you should come here. Of course, you can go to a big city, but if you would like to go to something smaller, I think Sweden and Trollhättan is a perfect place.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So we got one more question about, a couple of more questions. Do you recommend this field to a civil engineer who is interested in welding technology? I'm guessing our master in welding technology.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent program if you're interested in welding. That gives you a very deep understanding about the welding process and the different welding technologies and how welding affected on the material and material properties. If you would like to have a little bit broader education, you can also look into this advanced manufacturing process. They have not the same courses, but it's a little bit similar, but the advanced manufacturing give a broader education.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, that the programs here are developed in close contact with industry, and during your studies you also have a lot of contact with industry. So I would say that is a definite plus for choosing to study here if you're interested in welding. Yeah, I think that was all the questions we had, and I'm done with mine. And thank you so much for joining us from home, and thank you so much, Mikael, for taking the time to be here and for answering all my questions and all of our viewers' questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And my last thing is that I hope to see you here in Trollhättan in autumn 2023.
Yeah, we do. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Mikael, once again.
Thank you very much.